Man, yeah, just wear the beanie. That's it.
That's pretty solid. I feel good about that. That's a good way to start this. Get the attitude up high, you know.
Good trade 2Js if you could become Wolverine.
Where are you getting all this information?
I definitely heard some rumors about it. Are you still going? I get goosebumps thinking about it because it's like you can hear them get.
The car, I was going to qualify and I was going to drive that out the racetrack.
Just threw the hood over the ditch and
Longest employee of Knox.
You did some digging there, huh?
Look, we can't all make it to FD events. I get it. It's tough. I mean, there's a lot of them. There's flights and hotels and all that stuff. But you can still represent by heading over to shopfd.com, using podcast24 at checkout. Save yourself 20%. Hats, shirts, bunch of stuff, skateboard decks. I mean, they're making new stuff all the time. Good. Make sure to check back off. And they do random sales too. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, just make sure to check it out. So shopfd.com, maybe when you're scrounging for notes, when you're trying to launch your own podcast about drifting stuff, you know, you're checking the FD website, all that stuff. But while you're perusing, open another tab, I don't know, whatever browser you're using, and check out some merch. So shopfd.com, podcast 24, just the numbers. Save yourself 20%. Ciao e benvenuto, and welcome to the Outerzone, the official podcast of Formula Drift. My name is Jacob Gettins, and we've got the ever amazing Federico Sceriffo on today. How are you doing, sir?
Ciao, Jacob. Buongiorno. It was very, very good pronunciation, by the way. Congratulations.
I worked for Italians for a long period of time, so it's been a little bit since I've worked for any Italians, but I had to have it like on point. I would get screamed at.
That was spot on.
All right, perfect. Well, I appreciate that, sir. That means a lot. That does mean a lot. It's I would say like I kind of became like an honorary Italian when I turned around 18 because I started working in Italian restaurants.
Okay.
And I very quickly became known as, you know, the munchie cake. And then I was like, I don't understand how that's an insult. I love cake.
Right.
Like, I don't get why that's a problem.
Il mangiatorte.
Yes.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was, I mean, I learned to live with it, but after a little bit, after being yelled at for a couple of years, they kind of like brought me into family at that point. So
that's usually our style.
Yeah. Yeah. Italians are big emotions.
Yes. Yes.
So I want to get right in. Every episode we kind of talk about nicknames. Obviously, Sceriffo is basically a translation right to sheriff. But I think the one that most people don't know about that we should rename you is the DK of Milano. I like that one almost better. That's spot on.
Thank you. Well, it's funny because the DK Milano, my friends, before I even started racing, so this was like back in 2001, 2002. It's kind of a nickname that I got from the streets of Milano, you know, to be honest. And my first team when I started racing in Italy was DK Milano. And then it turned on some merch for DK17 and whatsoever. So, and I think, you know, saying Drift King today, you know, you start arguing with any kind of different idea of who thinks is the hottest drifter right now, right? Mm-hmm. But probably DK Milano, yeah, nobody can take that away from me.
What is drifting culture like in Italy? I mean, really northern Italy in particular.
Well, to be honest, I have Valentina that wants to come on board, but we make her come after because she's here pushing me. The drifting culture in Italy is becoming bigger every season right now. It's been a very, very slow roll start for numerous reasons. The first reason is because we have a very strong old school motorsport culture, which can be F1, let's say single seaters, because F1, of course, everybody knows about it, but we have many different categories for, you know, drivers that are dreaming to become a F1 drivers from, I mean, shy of 100 years almost now, you know, the first races with the single seaters that happened in Italy. So for a purist motorsport fan in Italy, there must be a time. there must be a chrono that determines who's the fastest, right? So when drifting arrived in Italy, it was hard to make them understand that it was actually a race and not just a show. So it has been taken in consideration, I think, from 10 years now, after the old school Italian motorsport community saw that around the world, drifting was getting respected, then they kind of had to digest it, if that makes sense. So that was one of the main reasons why it didn't really take off right away. Don't get me wrong. We have some amazing drivers. We have some amazing cars. We have probably the most beautiful tracks, that I can think of. The weather is amazing. The food is amazing. So why not, having a bigger drifting community in Italy? I hope it's continued to grow as it is, which that would give me also more to do when I'm there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's always been kind of a wonder to me, just because Italians are almost known for like the style. I mean, especially at Milan. I mean, that is, you're talking about potentially the style capital of the world.
Yeah, the capital of fashion. Yeah.
So we're taking a sport that is inherently stylish.
Correct.
But I understand the frustration because it's not something that you just finish first in.
Correct.
So that competitiveness, it's harder to direct how competitive you are because it's more difficult to understand, right?
Correct. And also, now here I throw the first bomb. For who knows me knows this already, we probably could do a 80-90 car mono brand E36 championship in Italy. What I'm trying to say, that to the eyes of people that could support it financially, they just see a bunch of E36s, 320s with a 15-inch wheel going around in second gear limiter with zip ties. This is the scene that the purists have of us, right? Because keep it fun. Yes, I agree. Keep it, reasonably cheap. Yes, I agree. But there has been a strong influence in the, between, let's say, 2008 to 2015, that basically it was cool if you went to a junkyard, got a car that barely worked, made it start, welded a diff, and send it. Okay. So that didn't help the sport. I want to be honest with you. And it's not about, it's not about spending a lot of money on a expensive car. No. I'm talking about, enlist a little bit more variety. Okay. Which of course, an E36 in the late, 2010 in Italy, I mean, they gave you basically €50 to take it away from their yard, because it's a very, very common car, which I've had. And I still own one that we do a very fun race in Italy. It's called the Fox Run. It's a 12-hour race with, kind of a cheap beaten up cars, and we door each other for 12 hours. Okay. In the racing track. And then one is done in the track. One is done on gravel, and one is done on ice. And either you're a fox, either you're a chicken. I'll explain this after anyway. It's a fun race. Okay. It's a very fun race. So I actually still own a E36 right now. But I believe that what would help also in Italy would be to kind of refresh, the ages of the cars that are generally used. And we didn't really get a lot of rear wheel drive Japanese cars in the late 90s in Italy, for different reasons. We got the S13 and the S14, just one model, but we never like saw many other rear wheel drive cars like an RX-7 or you have to import it, or an S15, or this cars that would have helped us have a little bit more variety.
Okay, so it was just a matter of this is what we've got access to.
Yes.
And I'm assuming too, it being a BMW and just, them being cheap kind of cars in Europe, it just didn't help elevate the sport to where you would get a larger adoption within Italian culture.
Exactly. So I'm sharing with you a few reasons why a sport that everybody loves, even now Italians really love it, didn't right away take off.
Right. Okay. I mean, it makes sense when you put it that way, because like it's such a cultural clash. Like in some ways it does make a lot of sense within the culture, and then other ways it's clashing with it just because of what you're saying, like that introduction and then not having the availability of those other cars.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about why they didn't make it into Italy, but they made it, North America, Australia. I'm assuming it's just, it just never, logistically, it's very difficult to get cars from Japan over.
Some pollution laws,
okay.
All those things that maybe it came out, we started having very, very, strict laws for pollution and all this in the early 2000s. So that probably threw us off that kind of cars. Like we never had the R32, R33, R34. The first Skyline that you could buy in a Nissan dealership was the R35 in Italy.
Yeah, well, that definitely set things back a little bit.
Yeah, big time.
Big time. So we talked kind of briefly about you being from Milan and it being the fashion capital of the world. Did that put some pressure on you and help kind of create your ability to design all of your own race suits since 2010? Because they're incredible. Like I deep diving back and seeing like the full Italian flag to the kimono to now the tuxedo. Like that's such a great expression of you.
Thank you.
How did that start?
Well, a lot of things start just to be different, just to not be them. Who? I don't know. Nobody in the specific. You understand? Don't misunderstand me.
Just everybody.
Yeah, just not be them. Okay, that's me. And this complicated my life quite often, don't be them, but it actually also gave me amazing achievements, gratifications, met amazing people just because of this mentality, and then the fact that, of course, as you said, I am from Milano, born in Milano and grew up in the province of Milano. And I'm proud of both of the things. So I had to express where we come from and why, we have this kind of nomea of being the capital of fashion. And my suits, my cars, for me are like a white board that I can paint on. And also drifting, I believe that it's one of, if not the only sport that you can express with the design of your suit, the livery of your car, the sound of your car, the horsepower of your car, where you wanted to make flames, where you wanted the bumper to get off, how you are putting the canards, where you're shoving carbon. It's one of the sports where you can express the most your character and the driving. I mean, drifting, you can just tell, I can just tell the character of a person by how he plays with the throttle.
Interesting.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I've said it before where like if we could somehow take a car and watch it, but only just as a black box, like whether or not we could figure out who that driver is by the way that black box is moving and, you know, the throttle position and stuff, because it's so true. Like, I think the best example is like a Chelsea Denofa, right?
Mhm.
Like he would post his throttle maps and you can see that dude is just throttle down the whole time. Whereas somebody, I would say maybe like a Ken Gushi. Ken Gushi loves to play with the throttle. Like you see him kind of on and off and like trying to get that
stuff.
perfect.
Mhm.
Yeah. And not like in a bad way. It's just the way his style is very like, like
Yes.
he's feathering it.
Yes. Also
But
because
yeah, that's so
also because
interesting.
probably he's trying to always keep the boost, you know, there blowing. So it's something that you don't have this issue when you're NA, okay?
Yeah.
And also, you know, I'm giving out a few pills, but you know, hopefully a lot of the drivers know, otherwise they know from now. But you know, to have grip on a turbo, of course, you have to always keep kind of the turbo almost coming in, but not completely, but coming in. You have the most grip because otherwise, when you're in full torque, then you have the max compression, and then when you finish the power band, you have less grip. So if you floor it, you know, with a turbo, after a certain point, yes, you're making a lot of smoke and you're making a lot of mess, but you're not moving forward. Which let's say an NA always has a more linear power band, also in high revs.
Right. I think you're so uniquely educated on speaking towards that too, because Fiorella's had NA, twin supercharged, nitrous, and now turbo.
Yes.
Like, have you had to relearn how to drive the car? Like, I know there's been issues with previous setups. Like, that's so much.
So I was way more in a unknown land when she was supercharged and NA, because I started with turbo cars. I'm a turbo car lover. When I walk in the grocery, I basically walk looking at, while I move the grocery cart, you know, I think where I should make the turbo blow to get in the next lane. You know, that's how sad I am, you know, where I'm at with my mind.
We all do it, don't worry.
I'm a big turbo guy. Yeah, I said this because I'm sure that, I mean, I've had people sharing this thing with me also. It's fun. I'm a big turbo guy. And I am not a big NA fan just because I don't love hearing engines just scream. You understand? Just scream, and like at red line. I swear. It's just something where I just would like an engine where I can just put another gear and it's party again. And if it finishes the gear, I put another gear and it's party again. And the lady behind me is exactly that right now. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. So what of these variations, like which one have you enjoyed the most? Like, has it been the turbo, or like was the linear power curve with nitrous better, or?
Uncomparable now. It's uncomparable. Like now she acts like a huge S15. Imagine.
Okay.
I swear. She's so similar now. And we did something very innovative back in the winter of 2021, presenting it in the season 2022. We put the Westgate in the cold part of the turbo system. So even in idle, my turbo is blowing. I just purge when I wanted to purge, but I have no turbo lag. So Fiorella is blowing from 1900, 2000 revs. She's already blowing. Boost.
Huh.
It's
Is that just? Go ahead.
Sorry. It's like a new technology and style. So I have an electronic Westgate from Turbo Smart that controls my Garrett turbo and all this is managed by Fuel Tech. And I'm not just doing plugs to my sponsors, but literally this is a joint forced experience that we did, and it really worked out. And all the new drag cars have this. So we took off, and now this year everybody will have the Westgate in the cold part after I'm telling this. So we took off the anti-lag. So you don't need anymore the anti-lag to always have the car spooling, basically, and you drop the temperatures down.
That's interesting. I'm curious what that's going to end up sounding like. I mean, I don't. Yeah. It'll be interesting because it'll kind of sound like a diesel at idle, where it's like you just always hear the turbo going. Obviously, the engine does not sound like a diesel, but yeah,
exactly. So at idle, imagine she's a spooling, and she's wild. She's wild. She can light up the tires. Let's say I'm in 6th gear and I'm in, I don't know, 30, 40 miles per hour. If I dump the clutch, not even too much mean, she just lights up the tires like crazy. She's wild now. She's very wild.
That's exciting. That's exciting. I know the 599 was like the most tail happy kind of like drift ready, if you will, Ferrari that was in the lineup at the time. Was that part of the reason why you ended up going that way? I know you kind of inherited the car. It's a bit of a long story, but
yeah. So I know that they have a characteristic of oversteering, but as you said, I haven't chose Fiorella as a platform. Fiorella chose me, to take care of her. So I would have probably chose the same car that time. I never thought it was the wrong platform because whoever did it. So who was, capable of telling me, oh, that's the wrong platform, choose that model of Ferrari. So, and yeah, I see now, a lot of YouTubers buying them and, kind of transforming them and whatever.
Well, I think in the kind of the current era of drifting, what you were able to do is really show people that like you can pick a very competitive chassis, do very well, and get sponsorship and get funding. And it is a very difficult path to almost go that way. Cool. And I'm not saying your path is not difficult because it definitely was.
Of course.
But you went a different direction where you said, listen, I'm going to take a chassis that isn't competitive in the grand scheme of things, is much more difficult to drive, but I'm going to get 10 times the attention you do and get more eyes on me and more people talking about me and get, and hopefully that means easier sponsorship or better sponsorship because of that. And I think that's now translated to the YouTube side of things where guys have realized I could build an S chassis and get, let's say 100,000 views, or I could build a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or whatever and get 1 million views. So I wouldn't say you're the first to build something that's like super obscure because, previously we had a bunch of those. But in this modern era, I really use you as the example of competitive or fan favorite. And you have to balance which one you want.
Yes. Or you step in and you achieve one or the two, majorly than the other, and then you have to work on the other. So for sure, the competitiveness of Fiorella the first 2 seasons was in developing her to be competitive, and just trying to not only test outside the rounds, but also at each round, because you can look amazing in the track you rented for testing by yourself.
Right. Yeah.
But then you have to look amazing beside the other 31. So, testing, I think, is awesome if you have another FD driver with an FD car that wants to share, the track with you that day. So you do a very spot on testing. Otherwise, it's more about, I'm checking that the car stays together, and I'm checking a few mods that I did that the car is happy. I feel she handles better, and then the real data you get it on live competition.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and I don't want people to think that like Fiorella is not competitive, because that car, like
we
being in person and watching the development has been crazy.
Thank you.
It's just you don't have a blueprint of this is what you need to do to this car to make it right. You can get an S chassis, you can get an E46, you can even a Mustang now.
Yes.
Go to a store, buy all the parts, and you have an FD level car with almost no research.
Agreed.
Those are handmade control arms. Öhlins had to make like custom suspension for it. Like there was nothing.
Yes, which now we're running through KW, the ST suspensions that actually were even more custom tailored. The KWs are custom tailored really for what we're doing, and she changed a lot also on that. She had a very tough 2 seasons where we always qualified for top 32, but the first 2 seasons we didn't make it through top 32. The third season we made it once in top 16, and then from the new setup, the new arms, we did 3 top 16 and a top 8 right away in 1 season. I mean, it's like a different world, between not making it through top 32 and making, almost regular a top 16, and also peeking your nose in a top 8, which we could not move forward just because, we had a hard collision, a battle previous or 2 battles previous, and the car just had enough. Otherwise, I felt like that could have been one of our rounds. I felt really good in St. Louis.
Yeah. It like I said, the development has been incredible, and I'm sure it's just not been easy, because you're having to take what you feel in the car and what from obviously over a decade of drifting, and then trying to make it work in a car that was never meant to do this.
Well, when you are a proud Italian like I am, and you grew up with motorsport of really, if you're not first, you're last. It's very heartbreaking, every round, seeing that the car is, not there yet. And then emotionally, it's tough. Reputation, you think this, you think that, you start overthinking, because sometimes the drivers do a huge mistake. They overthink, and they think way worse than what reality is, and the fans remember you that, you're great anyway. And the fans remember you that you don't have to give up. The sponsors tell you that they won't turn the back on you. So, you move forward, and you feel strong, you feel blessed. And then the energy comes back, and the belief comes back, and everything.
Well, it's just the support, right? Like you can be having just this brutal weekend, and then, I remember your pits always being busy, always people there. And I think, some of it was the cooking, because it was always incredible.
Yes.
But you were always very welcoming. I think you were the first person to start bringing in like plants and making their pits seem very welcoming.
Yeah.
And like,
my plants,
the red velvet rope. Yeah. It was great.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I love that. My plants has been a topic for a bit. There's still a topic. Yeah. I got new ones for this year, They get beaten up, after a few seasons. I got to change it, but yeah, you see, maybe we go back to the Milano topic or the Italian style, or anyway, I just want to be me,
Yeah.
And if I feel that I want to share with everybody my love for plants, which I have. I love plants. I love animals. I'm like that. I just do it, and they look great because, I saw it from, other Ferrari paddocks, they had, the plants, they look amazing from a dealership. If you think about a dealership, they have plants beside supercars, and they look great.
Mhm.
That's a bit it. The red rope, the red, the red separate for when we are inside eating. I think it matches, the whole thing.
Mhm.
So that's about it.
The Ferrari connection is interesting. In doing my research on I think it was on the Pennzoil website, there's literally a photo of you and then the F1 Ferrari team, like on the same thing, like bringing that all back around. That's got to be like, as an Italian, like one of the greatest honors to be just within that same realm. Like that's incredible.
It gives me, so Fiorella gives me butterflies
Right.
just because, anybody that jumped in a Ferrari, any Ferrari owner, anybody that really stick their nose in the the cockpit of a Ferrari, you have that unique smell. It just has a smell, okay, which she still has with all the VP ethanol she drinks and all the mess we do. She still has that unique scent, okay. First of all, second, I'm Italian, and driving a Ferrari is something so emotional. Wait, careful. Let me correct myself. Racing a Ferrari is something like almost I can't describe. I feel like I'm waving my country flag every time I turn on the engine, if that makes sense. With respect of anywhere I am around the world. But I do have a responsibility, ethically and also non-ethically, because I, of course, am watched by them. And as we all know, we are in Forza Horizon, and they have been contacted to approve Fiorella in Forza Horizon 4, that you can win it in racing Ferraris. So they perfectly know the existence of me and Fiorella, and they do like it. So let's answer to this, always asked question. Yes, they know, they love it, and they make me move forward. So
That's incredible. I think now it's just a matter of trying to get, Charles and Checo, and let's get them drifting. I mean, we saw Max doing it.
Exactly.
I think it's time. Yeah.
Exactly. I think they would be mind blowing, by Fiorella, even if they are F1 drivers. But when you jump in one of our FD cars, any car,
yeah,
they're just wild now. These cars are really wild.
Yeah, I would love to see more F1 drivers get into it. I think it just, even Max Verstappen getting in with Mad Mike, like that brought such a different set of eyes and like more legitimacy to the sport. Where yeah.
I perfectly agree. And that we go back to, the very, very early talking about old school motorsport people. I'm sure that drifting is getting more and more approved by, the highest categories of motorsport around the world. I'm very proud of that. I'm proud that I'm still part of it as a driver,
Yeah, it's happening. I mean, I feel like a broken record sometimes because I think I've said it for like the last 5 or 6 podcasts, but I really feel like in the last year, this year, next year, like these couple of years are going to be so definitive for the sport. I mean, we can't talk about all the changes and stuff that are coming up. I'm sure you know about a lot of it, but like, I feel very much like we're on the precipice of something really, really big happening. And I don't know what it is yet. It's just, it feels like I've got that energy. Like we're here, like something big is about to happen.
I agree because it is, and you can make numerous research that confirm this. It is the biggest growing motorsport of the past 15 years, 100%. Like
Yeah.
I'm ready to sign now, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So it's really special. It's really special that we used to be kind of, you know, crazy dudes putting a car sideways for no reason. That's what
Right.
we were looked at also.
Yeah. So with names like Fiorella, Olympia, Girana, what goes into naming a race car? Because you're so spot on with these. I mean, even looking up the translation of the Maserati, it's yellow girl. Like it seems very literal, but like the name itself, the wording itself just seems to fit so well.
So to be honest, the name just come up like that. I want to be very honest. Fiorella, I imagine, and she's right here beside me. So Fiorella, I feel behind. I have a big, beautiful Italian lady, you know, in her 45s, 50s, you know, that has a fruit and vegetable shop in Italy. You understand? You got it. You get to
I see it.
You see it?
It's here.
You see it? You know? Nice body, you know, Then, so she's Fiorella. So Fiorella is what I feel she is. She's a big, beautiful lady, you know, that has class, but has that very old school Italian touch.
Right. She would like beat you with a broom if she caught you shoplifting, kind of thing.
Yes. That's Fiorella. Olympia is a name that we came up after also naming Valentina. Her second name is Olympia because she is all muscles, you know, and she looks like an ancient Greek god, you know. Looking at her, and Olympia, I imagine like yes, in Olympus, like the infinity. She's big. She can host people. So she's something special, and Olympia is something special. You know, it's like a divinity, a Greek divinity also. And I share the divinity of drifting with the passengers. That's why Olympia.
Okay.
It's a lot of stuff, eh? Don't ask me these questions because I have an answer to all of them, unfortunately.
No, it's good. I mean, I think anybody should be able to defend any decision they make. So I'm glad that there's kind of thought that goes into it. I mean, I've named a couple of cars over the years, but like, I don't know, maybe it's just because Italian is such a beautiful language. It just fits differently. It's just such a different feeling to it, right?
Well, sometimes I come up with names that in Italian make sense because of the car, but you know, it's less unique than Fiorella and Olympia. You know, I have a FRS that is called GG1. The racing one is GGR. Okay. And one of the first crazy names that everybody remembered, it was my yellow Subaru, Giallina, which means beautiful yellow or little yellow, you know. So that's about how I get things.
Is the yellow kind of an evolution from back in Team Orange, or is that more an FFF thing? Or
yellow is my color from always. You know, yellow is my color from always, which I started back in 2005 with the yellow Subaru. So yellow for me has always been part of my career from day one. I get a bit of yellow passion, which I already had, but from Valentino Rossi. He has a yellow flow, but sometimes he uses also yellow. I got a bit of passion. Let's say he really elevated my passion for yellow because I'm a huge fan of his. Okay. So started using it from that. And then when I went to Team Orange, I first raced in the orange car with the yellow suit, just because Kumakubo-san didn't want to take too much off of my identity of when we met each other. And then at the third season, I told him, I'm okay dressing orange, and he was so happy. And so we did another 3 seasons of me dressed in orange.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I've very much. It was almost like a rabbit hole going down, doing some of the research, especially towards like FFF or Triple F. How do you prefer it said? Triple F or FFF?
Triple F. Yeah.
Triple F. Okay.
I like it how Jared came up with Triple F.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
So looking through the research of that, like Triple F coming from GT and then becoming Triple F ACM, which is Adria, what is it?
Andrea
Caldarelli?
Caldarelli, yes.
Right.
Good
Another
friend of mine.
Italian, more from Central. But then, yeah, it was sponsored by Orange One Technologies. And then it was like, but then you drove for Team Orange. And I'm like, oh man, this is like,
oh no,
seems like a whole, I know there's no connection, but it was just interesting.
No, let me like a time wise a little bit reorder everything. So Team Orange and FFF are completely 2 different identities, and they have no connection between each other. Okay.
Right.
Because when I talk about FFF, I'm talking about the racing group, which has always been by AC, which is Andrea Caldarelli, which is a very good friend of mine. And he is, I believe, the fastest Italian man right now around. Okay. Andrea has been a Toyota factory driver in Japan, racing GT500. Previous, he was on the F1 candidate list, and then he became a Lamborghini factory driver, which FFF racing team became a Lamborghini factory team for 5 or 6 years, where I helped the first years, just because, my passion and the friendship between me and Andrea, I helped on the racing side. Then they've been doing super great, They've achieved anything you could achieve with a GT3 team. While they were racing, they threw me the hot potato of opening the Triple F drifting department. That's a bit how the timing went. And Orange One is one of their main sponsors that they had the last seasons they raced.
Gotcha. Yeah, I figured there wasn't a direct connection back to Team Orange. It was just one of those like very interesting things that they were sponsored by that company.
Yes,
and I was like, okay,
yes.
I'm like,
very.
I'm like, if you were a conspiracy theorist, you would be like, okay, this is that, and that goes here, and
agree.
Yeah. It was fun to learn about their racing heritage. I didn't realize you were involved with the team as well. I figured you guys were friends.
I helped them at the beginning.
Yeah.
I helped them at the beginning with what could have been the media side, because they had all the logistic, mechanic, all taken care. They're a super strong team. I just helped them to step in the world of, media, doing videos and all this. And then they started, figuring it out by themselves. So that was good.
I will say, going back through your YouTube channel has been an absolute blast. But it really makes me hungry for more of some of your very creative content. Like,
I know.
Mission or Drift Mission, Drift Slalom, some of the mountain videos, like Drift Mission made me laugh so hard, but it was so well put together.
Thank you.
I'm waiting on more. That's all.
It was, I've done a few things on YouTube. So let's say I was a YouTuber. I have to go and look, but I guess like 17 and 18 years ago, without even knowing I was a YouTuber. I just, when I see it works, one of my ideas, I say, okay, it worked. I'll keep it there. So I did 3-4 episodes. back in 2000 and
It's like 2008, 2009 for some of it too.
2006, 7, I did Will It Drift. So I used to
Okay.
grab an ordinary car and explain about the car the first 2 minutes, then look at the camera and say, who cares at the end if the car is fast, is nice, has leather seats, will it drift? You know, and I did back then like 150,000, 200 views, which back then was a big deal, you know, and YouTube directly put me on the monetized program and all this. And then I was like, but I don't want to really like do videos, you know. I mean, I like doing stuff instead of, I don't know how to explain, you know, I like to live the moment. And I'm too much concentrated in making it happen, you know, that I never had the buzz of capturing everything to share it with everybody. And that didn't help me a lot, you know, on what could be a bigger following on social networks and a bigger following on YouTube, which this year, a lot of things on that side are going to change just because I'm realizing that I'm the one that could share more of my history with the new generation and, you know, let them know how much I brought to the sport, where I've been and all this. So that's a bit on me. And this season, actually, it's exciting because we're going to have like 8 episodes. Each round, we're going to do like an episode of from loading from the shop, which I never shared these contents with the web, you know. So from loading at the shop, the drama that there is in loading, the stress that there is in packing up, the journey. So the team is involved. They have to do their part, you know, record themselves. It's going to be very interesting. Have a new media crew. Well, I have a media crew, not a new media crew. I have a media crew. It's different. So I'm excited. I'm very, very excited about it. And YouTube is something that for sure I'm going to start doing more frequently, not for the monetary side, to be honest, but just for the benefit of drifting and of my fans. And also because I actually do like the things I do on YouTube, you know, and I feel there is a great potential. Drift Mission, it was just too much ahead. Do you understand? It's like ahead
it was.
now.
It was very ahead of its time.
No, it's like just too much ahead, which you see Drift Mission, they didn't pick it up because if you see like right now she has 40,000 views or something like that, but it picked up more Will It Drift, right? But I want to go back to Drift Mission. I can't spoil anything, okay? But you just, you know, kind of pitched me something that it's not a Drift Mission coming, but am I working on a video that has a, you know, it's not just burning tires, you know, in the video? Yes. And, you know, let's see what's happening this year.
That's exciting. I like that you touched on the stress of loading up because I distinctly remember watching Fiorella try to get into a trailer and how you've had to modify the trailer because of how wide that car is.
Yes.
And there's nothing. There is no room. I don't even know how you get out of the car.
No, you don't. You cannot. You
just
cannot
winch
be,
it in.
Yeah, you cannot be in the car when you load Fiorella. Yeah. You have to winch it up. And it's a funny story. So 2018, first season, we make the trailer meet Fiorella for the first time, right? Wow, everybody excited. Wow. Let's see how she fits. We took all the measures, you know. So she was supposed to like pass, which she passes a quarter of an inch per fender. Oh, literally a quarter of an inch per fender. And you can't, I mean, everybody knows, you know, in the paddock, everybody's used to it. So she's, with the tires, she rubs the ropes of the door. like rubs in, and then she basically passes a quarter of an inch per side. The funny
Yeah.
part, first time I opened the trailer, I'm so excited. Brand new trailer, amazing. I have a name for my trailer. His name is Casper. I can't tell you why right now, but his name is Casper, and the dually is Hercules. So I meet Casper for the first time, and I'm like, wow. I mean, I'm in love with my trailer. I just polished it last week. He looks new again. I opened this door. I looked at it. I said, wow. I said, oh. I look at Fiorella. I said, gosh, she won't fit. So the first idea, because there is the wheel wells that, just don't make her go in. The first idea was, which I have them here, space the trailer with spacers, take off the wheel wells. Okay. And I actually made somebody make me custom made spacers for my trailer that I still have them. Hold on. A more intelligent dude came and said, hey, you know that the DOT gives you a maximum width that you can't go over. So with the spacers to the trailer, I would have been out of that. So that couldn't work, right? So panic because I said, guys, I mean, I can't buy like a semi, a huge rig because, then it's flat and she can go in. Right now, I have to make it work. So in a pure Italian fashion, I start overthinking and looking at the trailer, for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I come up, I say, guys, take me to a place where they sell wood. So they take me to the Home Depot. Okay. I grab all this sort of wood at the Home Depot and I start, cutting wood and doing all kind of trials until I came up with 2 huge wooden ramps that I go over the wheel wells. But that's awesome because then I can keep tires, the tents, and a lot of stuff under the car. So actually that makes me gain a lot of space when I'm traveling, So that's how I load Fiorella and Olympia. So they are wide similarly, and actually they're very similar cars. Very, very similar cars in, powertrain and all this.
Yeah, it's fascinating to watch you get that car in there. I think it was 2018 when I first saw it in person, and I was like, I'm like looking. I remember looking at the trailer, and then I don't know who it was. It might have been like Justin Pollock or somebody was there with me, and he's like, "Oh, just wait until you see him get it in there." And then I like left. I was working with Riley Sexsmith at the time, and I left their pits to come watch you load your car up, and I was like, "Oh my god!" But if it works, it works. I like the idea of using more vertical space and storing everything under the car. Why not? Right? Yeah. That's good. Is it is still the same trailer? Like we're going to expect the same thing this year?
Absolutely. I like to keep my things well so they last.
Yeah.
So we just refreshed it, and that's I have no reason to change it, and it's a great setup. That's about it. Hercules maybe is the last season for Hercules, which each of my things have a particular story. He's an F550. He used to be a dump truck that we completely remade from zero and put a pickup bed on, because an F550 with a pickup bed does not exist. So he's an 06 bulletproof 6.0 F550 with a bed on. He's a beast, Hercules. Nice. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Any other big changes for this year, whether it's like car or anything else? I mean, I'm just kind of curious what we can look forward to.
Changes are that we took everything to another level, from spare parts that are ready to install, from a team that is training during the winter, I'm in a very healthy and fit moment of my life, which not by, just by occasion, but because I'm working on it from a bit, and I feel great. I feel great because I'm driving Olympia, which has a very, very similar attitude of Fiorella. And anyway, it gives me seat time, real seat time. I'm an old school boy. I love sims, guys, but I need to drive something that really shakes under my butt.
Mm-hmm.
And if I reach
Yeah,
and if you do a mistake, you throw it against the wall. Just it makes me feel alive.
Yeah, I do think, obviously Sims have done incredible things,
Sure.
and we're seeing drivers progress, but
Sure.
there is that last 10% of fear that really, like, that's the differentiator between a good driver and a great driver, is overcoming those nerves and overcoming that fear and being able to literally throw the car at the wall and not hesitate. Because
the fear you talk about is what keeps me alive. I love it. Because yes, it's fear, but from how many miles some of us do, you just transform it in excitement. Yeah, you're searching for that moment. Okay, that's me. Okay, that's me. And especially now that she's more under my control, you're way less scared of doing a maneuver close to a wall in proximity of something, that could create problems, because that the power band is there. She takes you out of the situation, and she does what you ask her to do. So fear was maybe when you have a car that doesn't have enough power to do the bank at half, 3/4 of throttle,
Mm-hmm.
and that gets scary,
Well, it's a trust, right?
Yeah.
And if you have something that you don't trust about the car, you're going to inherently drive different than if you have a full trust in what's going on, right? And that's
correct.
More than just the car itself. I mean, it's the team. It's knowing that you have spares. It's knowing you have the money. Knowing, like, all of that. That, like,
exactly. That's what I'm telling you. Like, what are the big changes? An elevated program to another level. And each year I am working hard to progress, not get stuck at the same level of the year previously, even if you have achieved good results. That's me.
Yeah. We can get into it as much as you want or not, but, like, having that year away, does that help with that, where you got to kind of recenter and rethink things and potentially put money aside? Or was it more of a frustration that you weren't there?
Well, it was more of a frustration, and that challenged relationships with sponsors. It challenged my inner, outer, and whatever, so you take an year off when you got not everything under control, or things are not exactly as you want. I was looking for 2023 to be one of my best years, like I'm looking now to be one of my best years. So, and we were really ready also for that season, and now I'm even more ready, of course. But not that we hadn't to do nothing, because you can't just make cars sitting for a whole year without doing anything, so she's being refreshed. That gave me, of course, the time to finish Olympia, which I'm so proud of. And she's starting to do events. People are insanely ecstatic when they see her. She sounds amazing. She's literally a Ferrari, a 4-door Ferrari,
Right.
And I love it. So it gave me the chance to do that. I came early this season because I wanted to prepare my shop, and I'm right here now in the new shop. I love it. I actually, 7-on-7 here because I'm so excited about it. When something is new, and you just want to put that here, put that there, just little change here and there, little things. So, a lot of things moved forward, and I feel blessed. Lucky. I work hard for my luck. I believe in luck sometimes.
Yeah.
But I don't really believe in luck. I believe in bad luck. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, big time. But
Yeah.
luck, I build my luck, like literally. So if you want to call it luck.
I think that's such an important statement. I've heard a couple people like explain luck in different ways, but the one that stuck with me is like it's opportunity meets preparedness.
Yes.
Where it's like
Yes.
you have to be ready to have luck happen to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because luck comes from a very deep desire of something. And then you say, lucky,
Right.
it happened. You know, but you just you desire that thing so hard, and you probably deserve it that it happened. But if you were not prepared for when it happens, then it scares you and you don't know how to grab onto.
Yes. I think it's such a, you know, getting slightly personal, like after I got the show, after a couple episodes, there was, you know, comments, people like, oh, well, it must be lucky. I don't even like know who this guy is or whatever, which is fine. But then I'm like, you know, you and I talked about it. Like I've done 200 podcasts. Like this isn't like it was the first day and they just picked me out of a hat. Like this has been 11 years of working my ass off to get here.
Well, think how I felt. You know, I feel you so well, because think how I felt when the first season, for sure, if not almost 2 seasons, how many didn't know who I was or where I came from? And that I basically am one of the first European drifters, the first non-Japanese in Japan. I don't want to now make all the list of the achievements from an international match.
I've got it right here if you want.
No,
like, I mean, I can read it off. We'll be here a minute.
I'm just saying, you know, I was blown away. They had an idea. I was just a rich dude that paid his way in Formula Drift with a Ferrari. I cried sometimes in the trailer. That's how much I care. You know, it destroyed me sometimes because I said, what opinion are people having? And we go back to me, my fault. I need to share better who I am and my history on socials. You know, I'm old school, and I know I am way more from live, you know, than anybody can expect. That's why, anyway, I have companies supporting me. You know, I have a solid fan base. I have many things because I work on live, if that makes sense, you know. So I will also improve the capture moments that fans need to see and share all the moments captured for the fans that need to know.
Look, I wouldn't say that I'm cheap, but I do like saving money. And one of the ways that I save money is by developing an entire podcast so I can go to FD events for free. But if you don't do that, what you can do is use FD podcast at checkout, little coupon code section area, FD podcast, and save yourself a couple of bucks on tickets. So if you're coming out to an event, you might as well save some money. You already listened to the show, a couple extra, you know, typies, save you a couple bucks. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Your racing heritage just, it goes back so far, and there's so many competitions that you've gone in and won, and crazy events that were, you know, if they were to happen now, people would think it's like brand new. And it's like, no, you know, we've been drifting up mountains for years, and we've had competitions of drifting up mountains. Like Drift Appalachia right now is kind of like the big thing everyone's talking about, which is phenomenal. But like, you can go back to some of these other competitions, and as far back as 2006, 2008, where competitions like that were happening. And that's nothing to take away from Drift Appalachia. That's an incredible event. But it's like,
it's also brave because you need a lot of, you know, I can just imagine the headaches they go through to make that happen.
Yeah.
And actually, I would love to join them, you know, in one of those Toge roads. The Toge, if I told you where people are scared, it keeps me alive. Well, the Toge is really my jam. You know, I've been training on the Toge for 4 years straight, every morning at 7 o'clock to 7:30 in the Toge in Ebisu. Yeah. And it's one of my favorite places. Sorry you hear Valentina barking. I don't know what she saw.
That's okay. Don't worry. We're all good. I get it. My dog's usually out. Our driveway's like right next to my office, and anybody that comes by, he lets the entire world know. So it's all good.
Yeah.
No,
she came here
yeah.
a couple of times, but I didn't pick her up.
I love that you've always had a dog at the track and so well behaved. And I mean, it's any pet it seems you have, that's your child. That's how it's treated and how it's been. Yeah.
It is. I don't have children yet, so I treat my dogs like children, and I've always grown with dogs, and my mom always told me those are your brothers and your sisters, you know. Yes. So I've had now I just do a rough count, but probably I've had 14, 15 dogs in my life. From the family dogs, we always had a boy and girl, you know, that's why so many. Otherwise, you know,
oh, okay. Well, yeah.
So I'm a very, very hard dog lover, like big time. Yes.
It's always good to have. I mean, I think dogs get photographed in the pits sometimes more than cars do.
Yes. Well, Rocco was this 35 kilo, so it was like a 70-pound English bulldog.
Yeah.
Epileptic, so he had seizures, and he was basically all modified from the nose to breathe better, the throat to breathe better, like all operations that we did in the years to make him live a better life, you know, just because of the English bulldog's natures. And he was epileptic, and they told me, you know, he won't last long, you know, enjoy him. This was when he was 4 years and a half. Well, I brought him the first time in America when he was 9.5.
Yeah.
I mean, he loved it. He loved it. And we've been around all the FD rounds. He did cross country 3 times with me. And yeah, been to Club Loose with Rocco, that was the mascot of that Club Loose. I mean, we had an amazing. And now there is Valentina. With
Rocco was amazing. That was definitely a big loss within the drifting community, but
yes.
I've only met Valentina, I believe, once, but seems to be fitting into the big shoes that Rocco left behind pretty easily. So.
Yes, and she's such a character. So she likes to play soccer. She loves,
really?
No, you can't imagine. Like, she loves to play soccer. And if I tell her to grab me the soccer ball now, so she has a rubber soccer ball, literally she will bring it here. Maybe she won't do it because I said it, of course, but she 99% she'll do it. She's all about soccer now, Valentina. And it's funny because it really sounds like I'm talking about my daughter, you know, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. And I just, she's always got a big smile too. I think that was the funny part. It's always amazing when dogs smile, and it's like, yeah.
Yes. She's a very special dog. She has a very particular story. She's been abandoned. I rescued her in a rescue shelter with another 16-year-old pit bull, Duncan, and he's now passed away after 6 months. We adopted him. Very, very special.
Oh, that's good. You're doing great work with that. I love hearing those stories, and
thank you.
It's I mean, it shows too that you can have a dog with you on the road, and as long as you know what you're doing and you do it correctly, it's a great life.
It's a huge responsibility, but it gives you so much. I mean, it just gives you so much that I could not imagine my life without dogs.
Yeah, great companion, and
see,
just always great to have one of your children out at the track.
It's so pure. It gives you such a, I don't know, it's so special. So special.
No, always welcome. That's for sure. So as somebody who has driven very obscure cars over the years, I mean, even the Subaru definitely ahead of its time, into an Eclipse, you know, Fiorella, the Maserati. Do you ever wonder what it would be like just competing in a very traditional car. Obviously, you've got the FRS, which I would say is the most typical drift car that's kind of in the stable right now. But like, has that ever gone through your head where you're like, if I just built an S chassis, if I just built a BMW and competed, this is where I would be?
With an S chassis, I probably would have got bored of drifting earlier and achieved a few championships, from a D1 GP, from a Formula Drift earlier. And I feel like I would have been me for sure. Still bring my creativity and everything. I have an S15, which I love. Oop, banged in the camera. Sorry. I have an S15, which I love. I feel it's like a glove on me. Probably the S14 and the S15 are the most easiest, honest, predictable, competitive drift cars that will ever be made. It's like uncomparable to nothing else. It just drives by herself. So literally it drives by herself. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have an S14 or an S15 that don't drive well, you messed it up with a setup. No, really, it's more hard to get an S14 and an S15 that don't drive well than to get them to drive well. Like, it's really. So what it would have been? It would have been different. It would have been for sure different. I respect who chooses those platforms, because it's just chasing result. Usually an easy platform brings you an easier result, which though people forget you easier.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's just that last line, right? That's what got me in that statement. Like, I do know what you mean. There's a very famous, well, I wouldn't say very famous, but there's like a famous punk lyric, which is, I'd rather be forgotten than remembered for giving in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it resonates with me. Cause it's like, I'd rather nobody know who I am doing what I want to do than everybody know who I am because I did what they wanted me to do.
Yes. Which here is a little bit more like, I'd rather be remembered for who I am and work double, triple hard to achieve at least the result that they achieve way easier, way faster, multiple times, but with your way.
Yeah.
I'm winning with her. I ain't coming to do number. I'm winning. No, I'm not joking.
No, I believe you.
No, like I'm serious. So, like, you see, it's a process, right, that you have to go through. And will I win 3 FDs in a row with Fiorella? Very difficult. Does she have the potential, though, to win an FD round? Yes. Does she have the potential to win an FD championship? Yes. I am creating around her this, right? But I could have never arrived so quick coming down with an S15, a 2J, a 4-speed gearbox, and a quick change.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to show you guys one round just to wrap it up. You understand? Just because I want to make happy all those that want to see me with a more simpler chassis to take out all my performance. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And I know what I'm going to do. Of course, anything can happen. Mechanical failure, somebody hits you and throws you somewhere. You understand? But if one of those two things don't happen, I know what's happening. Me with a simple chassis. Oh yeah. I know.
Well, you've been essentially training with a weight vest on almost since day one. Like, that's how I look at it.
Exactly.
You don't know anything but difficult.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah.
And when I drive something that is not difficult, okay, I beat everybody in Hong Kong with my Soarer 680 horsepower 2J zipped tied together. Oh, there was no Daigo Saito, no Kuma, no Kuniaki, no ESA that could stop me that night. That was wild.
Mhm.
That's what happens to me in an easy chassis, that I win,
Yeah.
pretty
You win.
easily. I win. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, I think just from like the perspective of the fans, it's just they want to see it. Like anybody who's ever interacted with you knows how passionate you are, how excited you are, but like anybody who researches your background understands just how talented you are.
Mhm.
So I think from our perspective, it's just like, man, like, what if, what could we see? But I mean, yeah.
I'm gonna achieve with Fiorella a big result. I feel it. So that will give a taste, and I just can't wait to cry of joy. You understand? I mean, I'm picturing the moment from a long time. I'm picturing like the battles. I'm picturing it's becoming more and more clear in front of me. You understand?
Mhm.
And when this happens, it happens. Okay. So at the same time, I wanna for sure give a performance with a more easier platform sooner or later, but I still don't have this frustration. It's more frustration of others, that
Right.
what's the frustration of others, that I'm not frustrated about it. You
Yeah.
understand?
I think you're right.
No, for real.
I
For
think-
real. For real.
yeah.
Like everybody, is more frustrated that I'm not frustrated about it. And that the more they're like, why doesn't he get a better chassis? He can't make it top 32. And somebody, he made it like 4 times through top 32. Oh yeah, right. But he can't make it to top 8. He made it to top 8. Oh, okay. He's becoming a problem then with this car.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so the more people are occupied, in trying to read me or trying to make me do something they actually want me to do or act like they want me to do, the more I continue moving forward with solid little steps, which where you're not focused on somebody, on how little but solid steps he's doing, when then you look at him, he gained a lot of meters. And that's my style,
Yeah. Yeah. I think too, just even your results based on just the amount of time that you've been in the series too. Like that's something that people don't recognize either. Like it's not like you've been in FD for 10 years and
No.
this is where you're at, right? Like there are definitely drivers that have been in longer that haven't seen the results you have.
This
Even
is
just
my-
a top 8 is such an
This is my
accomplishment.
5th season in FD, boys.
Yeah.
5th. This one coming.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. So 4 years. That's really it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In a chassis no one's ever built, coming from overseas and developing the whole program. Like that's a lot. And that's something that gets forgotten about when you just look at stats,
Thank you.
right?
Yes.
Just you look at, you log on to FD, you look at the stats and you go, oh, this is where they're at. But then people forget everything that goes around that.
True.
Numbers on a screen don't tell a whole story.
True. Last year, because I could not attend the last round, made us lose so many positions. We were in a way, way better place, with the top 16s and the top 8. We were a completely different place of the ranking and would have changed a lot of the stats, of course. But it is what it is. You can't take off the ranking stats, but you can't take off the achievements, So it's like
Right.
1-1 ball in the middle, new season.
Yeah.
I'm excited
Yeah.
more than ever. I swear.
I can hear it. No, I 100% believe you. I mean, I'm just hoping I'm there when the party goes down when you win an event. Like, because I know it's going to be wild.
Oh, wild. No, wild. You guys have to close me in the closet after. No, for real. For real.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah. It's, and this year in particular, like we're looking at the most competitive grid we've ever seen. We're seeing shuffles and rankings like we've never seen before. We're starting to see drivers that were incredibly dominant, like struggling because other people are coming up and like beating them handedly.
Yeah.
And then, you see other drivers that were mid-pack lower guys coming up and crushing. And then now with the announcement of like potential drivers coming over, like this is going to be an insane year. I feel like we say that every year, but like really looking over, it's crazy.
It is. The team, the cars, the drivers, all of us are getting more and more refined in any way. I believe that each year we think the same, and it is like that, but we are all working to improve, so you bring your program improved, and also the others bring their program improved, and who didn't stands out, who didn't stands out. And sometimes, there are teams that work less on their program because they worked harder the season prior and they found a fine balance between car mechanics, sponsors' expenses, and they kind of lock in the program like that, which that's not really my style. For me, when I feel I'm in a comfort zone, I suddenly become uncomfort because it's too much quiet, too much safe. So I start looking at myself around like I've been in comfort zones, and then thunder can arrive in a second, so it's motorsport. So it's always better to continue evolving and continue moving forward, because the sport is moving fast and we have to keep up with the sport, which I think we arrived to a point where I hope we don't start running 355 tires and something like that, because the cars start to be undrivable. So I hope that with the new, it won't happen this year, but I'm not a huge fan of these huge tires.
Okay.
I think that they make the performance look choppy, even if you're a very smooth driver. The cars are not happy. And we could run same brand, same compound, less stress on the car, more smooth performances. Okay. So the sport arrived to a point where we have drag cars with a hydraulic handbrake that goes sideways.
Yeah.
This is reality. Okay. This is reality. So, I hope we go in some direction that now we are thinking about drivers. I think the main focus now is fans, sponsors, and drivers. Okay. This is the main three focuses that the drifting community at a professional level has.
Yeah.
I would start thinking about these girls also. They, the cars. Yeah. They need a thought. Also because a lot of time, some cars are not finishing the weekend just because of how exuberant and exasperated the car is. So
yeah, I know what you're saying. We've had these kind of something lead away, and then we've had to catch up. So like power, right? Like we had this huge power struggle after Daigo comes in, and then everyone's braking and we're having all these issues because everyone's trying to push. And then we kind of find that billet blocks and dry sumps really become the standard. That fixes that issue. Then we have a bunch of diffs breaking, and then we find the quick change is the answer. Maybe not in that exact order, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And now we're at this point of almost tire technology is so good. And we see companies like Nitto basically developing a drift specific tire. And then it's okay, what's next? And the next thing is going to be more power, reliability, but we're going to have a couple of years of struggle before we get there. And that's not what the sport wants, right? If you have 2 or 3 years of people braking constantly, you're going to lose fans quick.
Yes.
So,
yes. And also the cars, we are arriving to a point where we are asking a lot from our cars,
Yeah.
So I believe that it's good where we arrived. It shows the hard work from everybody behind it, because when I see a pro car today, it's a car that has so many man hours inside, so many expensive components, so much technology. I mean, I think that we should have a thought in now the cars. Yeah. It's just we never talk about our cars, like what the cars go through. We just talk about, how tough it is for the driver, how tough it is, financially to find the program and all this, but the community doesn't focus so much on the cars itself.
Yeah, and really the car is the representation of the driver in the sport, right? It is the conduit to what the sport is. And you'll find for general fans, they'll know the cars, but they may not know the drivers, they may not know whatever, but like they can very definitively point out, this is the car that I like.
Of course.
And if that car is not competing because it's broken, that's a fan that's disappointed.
Yeah, big time. Big time. And
yeah,
I mean, if the cars would be a little bit more smooth to drive, so you guys say here more loose, okay? All the cars, if we loosen up all the cars, better wall rides, better proximity, more smoke, can carry more angle, they look more smooth, and I can go on, by logic. By logic.
I wonder, I don't think this is something maybe somebody's thought of it before me, but we talk a lot about tire regulation. We talk about, people suggest like horsepower regulation, which is very, very difficult to monitor and to rule. But like, I wonder if we ever got into a point of like tire pressure or toe regulation.
So,
you know what I mean? Like if you were to say, hey, you cannot run toe in past 1/8 of an inch or something. Because there are guys that run like almost an inch of toe in.
I know. I know. It makes me laugh. Makes me laugh because Fiorella has a completely different setup. So she's so fast, and I'm way higher than half of the field of the PSI. And she's so fast.
So good,
I choke behind people. I choke behind people that have 10 PSI in the tire. Why? Because even the tires are not studied to go under that many PSI. It becomes like a trend. It's like a, locker room, high school chat.
Yeah. It's a flex to have like less than 10 PSI.
What about you? I got 8 PSI, bro. Damn. It's, I mean, guys, but your car has no side bike now because you're basically flexing the whole wall of the tire. Okay. And I'm continuing to giving out informations at this point. But okay.
No, it's fine. It's what we're here for.
You understand what I'm trying to say? So,
yeah. It's causing different issues that it's like, we feel like we need to do this to the car, but there's repercussions beyond just having low tire pressure. Yes.
And I think that why we went to low tire pressures and faster cars, because faster car, it's more embarrassing to see a car that drags away from you, okay, than anything else in drifting. So we started it just started being more high score when the car in front, even with a little bit less angle, started dragging away from the car in the back. Okay. So because of that, we all went to have more gripped cars. But it just became a trend. If we go back to be given a higher score, if the car moves smoother, you understand, and has less corrections and this and this and that, which we are on that, but probably there's been some seasons where the trend was different. And we all followed what the judges wanted, the trends of what they are asking. Because I'm sure that if the trends start being maybe a little bit slower, okay, from point A to point B. So from the last initiation cone to the finish line, if the trend starts to be just a little bit slower, but like imperceptible, but it needs to be smooth. It needs to be high angle. It needs to be close proximity. And it needs to be everything done on point. Then we start forgetting about all gripped up cars, you know?
Mhm.
You're searching for the car that is the most smooth to look, but at the same time, it's aggressive, is doing wall rides, is doing snappy transitions and whatsoever. But as you said, how can you regularize that? Probably tire pressure. You can't do that because different tires, different cars at different pressures react in a different way, you know? So it's down to tire size, my friend.
I do think you're very much onto something with the judging side of things, that like if we had a massive cultural shift in how we judge, which very much could happen this season with the judging basically being almost all new, that the rest follows, right? If the idea is that angle is the biggest point scorer, right? Even before line, which is, you know, more towards almost the Japanese style, or even going back to D1 with DOS systems. And then, you know, proximity actually is the last thing for points. You then develop a culture within it that's how you win, right?
Exactly.
We talked about how James Dean won his first championship. He read the rule book and realized that proximity was significantly higher judged than angle. And that's why you saw driving out of him where he had 10, 15% less angle, but he was just sticking the nose of the car into the door because he read the rule book, he understood the assignment, went, this is how you win a championship. So if we made it where angle is 50% of your score, line and proximity or whatever, you know, I mean, however you want to build it out, is less.
Being fluid, fast transitions,
right?
Angle and line. I mean, the usual ones, you know.
But rank them differently.
Yes. Rank them in a way that they bring us to drift. Like, I mean, it should be normal for us to take off almost the bumper of the car in front, but not doing it that if you mistake, you hit him in the back and then you basically plow on him. You understand? Where the cars have, you know, almost a skating move. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
That
we surge in transition right now, right? Like if you really watch the way it's happening, we're basically slowing down and then catching grip of the car by coming off throttle, which then can grab grip, snap the car back the other way. And then as the car is starting to come past zero, they're back on throttle and pushing ahead.
Yeah.
So to tandem in that, you have to time that perfectly, and you have to hope your car regains grip and then you can overcome the grip at the same time. Like it isn't fluid. It can't be because of how gripped the cars are.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. I think a cultural change is what needs to happen. Because my only fear with coming down in tire size is that we're just going to find new and different ways to get more grip out of them again. We're just that's, you know, we're going to dull the blades. It just means we have to, you know, cut harder. Like that's maybe
we will find a way to have grip with a smaller size. I agree. But just for a matter of physics, we have so much power that if we start going down size, it's just like, you know, it becomes like naturally. Ice.
Yeah.
Just for physics.
Like, what size? Like, what's your cap? Where do you think like the sweet spot is?
Because of the power that we have, a 265 is just a bit too small. But I would not go over a 275 in the rear, like max.
Okay.
Max. And
so 1,000 horsepower 275 is still fast, but there's enough room to play in it. Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
I mean, that's about it.
I love just getting the perspective from you guys on this, because for me, I see very much both sides. Part of me wants the most insane tube chassis, crazy drag radial Part of me wants
Yeah.
that, but I also understand how much excitement I get watching super crazy tandem.
Me too. It excites me how fast the car is. I love it.
Yeah.
But we're doing it also for the fans. Drifting is also created to excite who's watching us.
Right. And they don't get excited watching a guy gap another guy.
No.
We get excited. I mean, even in the booth, we get excited when it's like trading paint for an entire lap.
Yes.
That's when we get excited.
Yes. Agree. Exactly.
It's a good point. Yeah. I do think drivers in general, or all of us in general, forget about the fans when it comes to a lot of these decisions.
Agree. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think the only way, maybe not the only way, but one of the ways to grow the sport is to make it as exciting as possible. And I think where the question is like, what does that mean? Is it the fastest cars or is it the closest tandem?
Right.
So, right. It's two very different directions.
The maximum expression of the sport is two cars being door to door. That's the maximum
expression.
expression.
In simplest terms, that is the maximum. Yeah.
So
because
so we just answered to our question, right? I mean, what's the priority?
Yeah.
The priority is seeing this.
You're starting to change my mind on this, Fede. Like you're starting to push me the other way.
No, I don't want to change the mind of nobody. I'm just exposing my point of view, which I come from speed in initiation. Snappy angle in initiation. Then the smoothest as you can be on execution, the quickest you can be in transition, and the closest you can be in proximity. That's it. Smoke is a cherry on the cake. The sound of the car is a cherry on the cake. All the rest that you can add after I told you the things I told you is a cherry on the cake.
Yeah, I think we're kind of at like a diminishing point of return with smoke because like there is so much, and even if we had more, I don't think it benefits anything.
No,
it's become a problem now. Look at Orlando.
It's a problem, but also because how the car behaves on a switch. Because if the cars would be more tamed on switches, you would navigate that cloud of smoke with a different attitude. Now you navigate the cloud of smoke and you hope the guy did a good transition. He didn't sneeze. He didn't line up. He didn't understeer. Hopefully he's traveling the same way you thought he was traveling. Hopefully you're not going to find him after the white wall of smoke there, that he had a hiccup. He missed a gear. I mean, it's like throwing dices now, just because of the attitudes of the cars also,
Yeah.
I mean, I navigate through smoke from 18, 19 years. And let me tell you, it used to be easier, to navigate through smoke. I don't know why. I mean, but I guess it's what I told you why.
Well, it's never been this intense.
It's true. It's never been this intense. The car never been so nervous. They never surged forward so fast after a switch of direction. So it's just a mix of things, It's just a mix of things. Man, you're just so natural. You make everybody feel pretty comfortable, I guess.
That's what I try to do, man. I appreciate that. It's tough. I mean, for me, I mean, I might as well just get right back into it. There's this on the podcast side of things. It's like some drivers I have a good rapport with from being around the sport, and you and I have been friendly for years. I don't even know if you remember this, but you were actually on my old podcast years and years ago. Yes. I think it was like your first season. So for you and I, it's just hanging out. But like some of the drivers, I have to work into it. They have to build trust, right? And that's where some of these like really fun, deep questions came from. Is that I want to build rapport quickly. I want to prove that I've done the research, I've done the work, and that I'm here to have a good talk. But you make it easy. You and I've always had good conversations over the years, so this is easy. That's all good. It's all good. So I found it really interesting that you came very, very close to going down the rally road as opposed to the drifting road, and just like a YouTube video changed everything. Are you still pursuing rally, or is that like the retirement plan, or is it do both?
So I actually went and had a few tests last winter. So winter of 2023, while I was in Italy, I had the chance to do 3 tests with a rally car, a 1.6 liter turbo 4x4. The category is N5, okay, which a WRC car is like an R5. Now, I won't go into the specific. There's various models, but it's a very fun little car. I'm fast, okay, but to go fast, podium fast, it's a different world.
Yeah.
I mean, a different world. So I realized that it's not that it's not for me, right? But I would rather do door to door, like I would rather do a super rallycross now, like where we are 8 of us banging doors and jumping and going sideways, than almost disrespecting the rally world and just jumping in it and expecting, to have a good result. I'm just going to get hurt. Let me tell you that. Let me tell you that. Also, because I had a few moments this winter that nobody knows, with the rally car. I came too fast at a jump, just because I'm not experienced, and I said, don't be slow, don't be scared, don't be a chicken, So I literally put a gear too much. I've almost literally totaled the car and we landed, everything was fine, but like the road, if I didn't land, the road was finishing. I would have landed like outside the road, and I have no sense of speed. So it scares me more. It scares me more the fact that I don't have so much experience with the 4x4 than the speed. I don't realize that, the car has to have a certain meters to stop. And I basically drift it, as my instructor was telling me, right now I kind of drift a rally car, which it's not so correct. Okay.
Right.
So today, will I go and do rallies? Probably not, as for the reason I told you. Okay. With a competitive attitude. They invite me at a rally to excite the fans that I'm there in a different vest. Yes. Rallycross, I'd like to do it. I'd like to do it. And off-road. I started doing some off-road, slow stuff, like crawling up stuff. I like it. I like it. So
the American way is starting to creep in there.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And you're down in Georgia. Like, I mean, is there like a part of American culture that like you've adopted immediately where you're like, oh, this is incredible. Like, I don't know why the rest of the world doesn't do this.
Quite a few. So I like so much the chance that is in the air here, like the give it a try attitude. I love the give it a try attitude, which is my attitude, but maybe in other countries, in other cultures, it's a little bit more difficult, to be done in a pure way like that. And then, here I've heard yup, no problem, I got you. I mean, I love it. Yup, no problem, I got you with my crazy ideas. I mean, almost nothing is impossible.
Yeah, I mean, they call it the land of opportunities. So, like, I mean, once again, just like growing, I'm up in Canada, but North America in general, it's pretty similar in that regard. That like, I don't know anything different.
Yeah.
There's definitely people who are naysayers who are like, oh, you can't do that. But I do know in a lot of other European cultures, it's like you stand out, but doing something that's radically different is kind of looked down upon. And I don't know if that's like a heritage or like just a cultural thing, but
It's cultural heritage. It's a mix of things. That's why I cannot be based in Italy, because I love my country and I'm so proud of it. But because of the sport I chose, which I'm not an F1 driver, I'm not a GT driver, I'm not a MotoGP driver, I'm not a soccer player, then I'm done. Then I'm nobody. You understand?
Okay.
So
if you don't fit into that lane, then
done.
that's it.
That's it. Here, I mean, here you could be champion of blue ice cream that you sell to Eskimos and people respect you.
Right.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah, there's so many different things you could do and be phenomenal at, and everybody's happy.
For real.
Yeah.
And, you know, because also the fact that I come from Milan, the capital of fashion. I mean, here I could go to the supermarket dressed with a tuxedo, dressed on my pajama, dressed with the gym things. Nobody cares. I love it. Love it. I swear. Dude, back home, you have to be careful how you match colors in the morning. Otherwise, people, laugh at you. No. I mean, which the world has different problems. If my black sweater doesn't match my blue pants because you're not supposed to put this and that. You understand? Or whatever.
Darker on top. Yeah.
So, I mean, so I adopted a lot of stuff, but just to remind you, I've been traveling the world from when I'm 6 with my parents. I've done my first 5 years in Taiwan in the Taipei American School, so I know American culture from when I'm a kid. And actually, when I came here, so the funny part is that I went to American schools for all my life. Okay, then stayed in Italy for 10 years after school, almost. Then started traveling. Well, no, 8 years or 7 years, and then started traveling to Japan, started traveling around the world, China, Russia, and all sort of countries. And I kind of lost my American accent. When I came back here, all my American accent that I, absorbed at the American schools kind of came back. And it depends on the day. Sometimes I'm more Italian, sound. And some days I love it because people ask me from what state I am, and I'm like, wow, I'm really faking it till I make it here,
That's funny.
Yeah.
No, it's so interesting whenever I chat with anybody that's come over just to understand like what it's like. I mean, I haven't obviously traveled that much, but I just enjoy absorbing culture and understanding like why certain things turn into other things. And, I've spent a couple of weeks in Norway now and just like understanding how that whole culture works and some of the different quirks of it. And then how that turns into other stuff. Like Norwegian culture is very much like, oh man, I don't want to like paint it with a broad brush, but like from my understanding, from what I experienced, it's very much you don't really stand out. Like the idea is that like, if you're standing out, there's something going on, right?
Yeah.
And that translates into their clothing. It translates into their home design, where it's very simple and minimalistic, and your colors are pretty in a short range because nobody's going out wearing all these like crazy bright colors. So it's just interesting, like how those things end up correlating back over and creating the culture.
Absolutely. And probably this is one of the countries where I find myself more accepted for my uniqueness. That's why I feel good. I feel good here, and I feel good bringing all the things I'm bringing here. From Fiorella, Olympia, my drifting school, and the shop. So you give people work, and you move anything you can move. I'm very proud to be here and be accepted as I am. Because I've saw also other foreigners that maybe I haven't gone too deep into it. They move maybe differently from me. And I'm talking about nobody in the specific and not exclusively on drifting, but I've saw other foreigners sport wise, movie world, music world, give it a try, but just not making it because maybe they were bringing too much of their culture here and wanting to change 340 million people to their ideas. It's difficult. You understand?
Yeah, you have to bring your culture but respect the culture that's already there, and find the balance between the two.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Cool. Well, to wrap it up, I have one kind of overarching question. What does the next 5 years look like for you? If you have to plan it all out, if you want it to go perfectly, what is the next 5 years look like?
I'll tell you half because I'm superstitious. I'm Italian. So I can only tell you half. Okay?
Okay, that's fine.
Win multiple rounds of FD with Fiorella. Next 5 years. And probably in the next 5 years, try to bring home the championship with her. Not the only championship that I want to bring home. It's my last decade. It just started now, my last decade of my career, because I tried to put myself, you understand, a deadline, let me tell you, because I don't see myself stopping. When I see the other drivers quitting, I have anxiety because I think like, what did he went through to take that decision? What did he went through? I'm still far away from there. Okay, so my next 5 years is winning multiple rounds, if not the championship, creating the prospect team.
That's pretty cool.
And making Olympia a well-known, it's crazy because I have her here. That's why I'm looking up. I have her right behind the camera. Making her a well-known drift taxi car in America that people can share the fun with. And making my drift school more bigger. That's my next 5 years.
Nice.
Half.
I like it.
It's half of what I told you.
Half. Right.
So, because
can't tell the whole thing. I respect that.
No, because you nailed the time frame for a thing that I can't tell you more. So maybe after 5 years there might be some
more going on.
Yeah, some change. I'll continue racing, so just there'll be maybe a change.
I appreciate that. I don't want you going anywhere. I'm very excited to have you back in the pits.
Thank you.
You definitely bring an energy to the whole group and to the team and even to the drivers' meetings and everything. So
thank you. It means a lot.
We need your big personality. You have a very, very big personality in the best possible way. And it's exciting. I'm very interested to see what the car performs like and how it's moving, especially now with the turbocharger setup having some bit more development. Like it's just exciting. It's just exciting to have you back.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you, Jacob. It means a lot what you said, and I'm excited to be back because I feel that we are a huge family, the FD community, the community, the ones behind the scenes, the drivers, the mechanics, the truck drivers, the guys that build up, the whole scene and then build it back down. I mean, I miss that. That's why I don't really want to stop anytime soon. I miss that. So that's how much I can express my love for us, in what we
Yeah.
do.
For all of it. It's a big family. And we love like a big family. We fight like a big family. We
true.
eat like a big family. Like
It's
it's
Let me see.
that's the yeah.
It's true. It's true. Let me see if Valentina maybe comes to say hi. Tina, vieni. Let's
yeah,
see.
we can't
Just before.
wrap up the show without her.
Tina, vieni amore.
Of course she speaks Italian.
Ciao amore. Bella lei.
Oh, Bella. Aw. I love it. Big smile too.
So thank you.
Ah,
I should
thank
took
you.
off my earphone now. Wait.
That's
okay,
all
I'm
good.
back.
I'll wrap it up. So
Here we go.
for everybody listening at home, please make sure to drop into YouTube and take a look. You've got to see Valentina at least.
Yeah, Valentina is a must.
A must. And yeah, make sure to check out all the show notes. Go subscribe to Fede's YouTube channel now so you can be ready to go to see that trailer getting onboarded and just the general craziness that is his life. Go back and watch the old stuff because the old stuff is incredible and super far ahead of its time. That's what I was up to last night before the show, was rewatching old videos. And yeah, thank you, sir. I really appreciate it. I'm glad we got to do this. And I'm very, very excited
so
to.
much.
Yeah, no worries.
Been awesome. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.